Hey, welcome to my GodFit channel. This is just Basic Christianity 101, simple topics with simple answers. And today's topic, we're going to talk about the three different temples of God. Now, the heavenly temple of God sits at the top of the mountain of God in the most high of the heavens, aka the third level heaven, 2 Corinthians 12:2. Inside the temple of God is the actual throne of God, where he sits, he watches, and he records everything we say, we think, and we do. And he rewards our faith and love by either sending himself or angels to help us along the way with whatever we need to do his will. Psalms 11:4 and Revelation 7:15. So now let us talk about the different temples of God here on earth. So far there is one tabernacle and three temples of God. The tabernacle of God was built during Moses' time, and it had an outer court and inner court. Now inside this inner court, within the tent of testimony, is two rooms. The first room is the holy room, and the next room is the most holy place. And this is where the Ark of the Covenant was actually held, and when the high priest could go actually and talk with God face to face between the mercy seat one day a year. Exodus chapters 26 through 31. The tabernacle is not considered one of the temples of God. Now, the first temple of God was built by King Solomon. This temple was a replica of the tabernacle, but with way more detail and greater in glory. 1 Kings 6 and 7 and 2 Chronicles chapters 3 through 7. This temple was also a replica of the temple in heaven, where God's throne exists, above the stars and above the earth, Hebrews 8 and 9. Again, this structure also had an outer court, an inner court, and two rooms inside the temple, the holy room and the most holy room. And this was built around 950 BC to 900 BC. And I believe this temple on earth was built on the very place where Jesus created the land in Genesis chapter 1. The place where God actually hovered over was this land of Israel, aka the Garden of Eden, before the land of Israel came to be, which was the very center of Pangea before God broke it up at the Tower of Babel, Genesis chapter 11. And that is why the land of Israel is so important to Jesus, Deuteronomy 11:12, Jeremiah 3:17, and Isaiah 31:5. Now the second temple of God was built after Nebuchadnezzar destroyed the first temple, for this was God's judgment over his people, and he enslaved them in Babylon for about 70 years. Now when these 70 years were up, God put it in King Cyrus's heart to rebuild the temple as the second temple of God, around 520 to 515 BC. The second temple of God is also called the temple of Zerubbabel, and this temple was actually described in Ezekiel's chapters 40 through 47, before the temple was actually built. The temple of God mentioned in Ezekiel is not the third temple of God, but the second rebuilt temple. And the reason for this is because the temple described in Ezekiel has built-in places for animal sacrifices. Now, because of what Jesus did on the cross, he and he alone fulfilled all the laws of the Old Testament, and he gave us a new covenant. Therefore, animal sacrifice is no longer needed because Jesus shed his blood for us. This second temple was later destroyed by the Romans in around 70 AD. Now, the third temple of God, which is our human body, we are actually the temple of God as mentioned in 1 Corinthians 3:16, 6:19, and 2 Corinthians 6:16. For they say, know ye not that ye are the temple of God, and that the Spirit of God dwelleth in you? Now when Jesus died on the cross, the veil of the temple was ripped from the top to bottom. And this was God telling us that we don't need a temple anymore to worship him, because he is making our body, his temple, the third temple. And that is why he tore the veil and gave us access to his Holy Spirit. Our being, which is the third temple of God, aka the human being, is also a replica of the actual temples of God, meaning the outer court of the temple represents our physical body. The holy room, which is the first room of the temple, and it represents our soul. The second room, which is the most holy place, this symbolizes our human spirit, which is our conscience, our intuition, and worship. This is where we get to fellowship with God himself daily with his Holy Spirit. Now, these are the three temples of God. The first is King Solomon's. The second is the temple of Zerubbabel, a.k.a. Ezekiel's temple. And the third is our human body. Now, on a side note, the people who are alive during the tribulation period or near the beginning of the tribulation period will not build the third temple, but will modify the temple mosque, a.k.a. the Dome of the Rock. And that temple will masquerade and serve as the third temple of God during that time period. So why is this important? Because later on, the Antichrist will sit in that temple during the mid-tribulation period around and declare himself God. I repeat, this is not the third temple of God. Our human body is the third temple of God. Now, in the near future, after the tribulation and Jesus' second coming, he will come down and bring down the new city of God on the new earth during the 1,000-year reign of Christ. Now, during this time, there will be no more temple, but only a throne of God where the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit share. The throne together as one God on one throne. Revelations chapter 21. Now read these chapters in full for a better understanding. Exodus chapters 26 through 31, 1 Kings chapters 6 and 7, Ezekiel chapters 40 through 47, 2 Chronicles chapters 3 through 7, Hebrews 8 and 9, 1 Corinthians chapters 3 and 6, and Revelations 21. You have a good day. Be safe and stay away from bad people, because bad company corrupts good character. And always remember, to God be all the glory. Jesus really is God. Jesus really is Lord. Peace.